Welcome to the Rent Roll Starter podcast, and today's episode is particularly special because we have Sandy from Q State Properties joining us. So thank you so much for being here, Sandy.
Thank you, Ellen, for having me. I'm very excited to be a guest on my first podcast.
I'm so excited to get to be your first podcast appearance. Now, Sandy owns a real estate agency that specializes in acreage property management, which is, I think, particularly unique. And they are also buyer's agents as well. So quite a full service property investment approach in your business, isn't there, Sandy?
Absolutely.
I'm curious to know, how did you get started? I think all the way back in 2014 is when you first started?
Yeah, that's right. It's quite a funny story and something I have been only comfortable in actually probably telling the whole story only recently. So, and that just comes down to confidence and what have you. But basically, to go right back to the very beginning, my husband and I bought our first investment property when I was 20. So when you say investing, like I love investing, I love property, I love everything that comes with real estate. So yeah, we started out quite young. That's where my experience in property management had come from. Because we had a few property managers, they didn't work out, and I ended up being a self-managing landlord. So I was one of those people.
Wow, one of those.
Yeah. So thankfully everything was really good. Like, RTA was my best friend back then, little did I know because I hadn't worked in an agency. Fast forward a few years and I had two beautiful girls 14 months apart. So I found myself being a stay-at-home mum going stir crazy because I couldn't go back to the original industry that I worked in because it was very early starts, just wasn't family friendly, especially for a mum. So my husband and I were looking at what businesses offer sale, what can I do? And I looked at the rent rolls and I was like, wow, there's money in rent rolls. Can't buy one of them though, don't have the finances for that. And also, I wasn't licensed. So I decided to jump in the deep end, having two really young babies at home, studied for my real estate registration certificate, went on to do my licensing, all via correspondence, and then got my real estate license and started Q State Properties in 2014. Now, the reason why I say I wasn't comfortable in telling that story for so long is because there's so much negativity, especially on Facebook, in line, like, oh, it's so easy to go and get your real estate license. So for me, I was like sitting in the corner going, oh, I was one of those people. I just went and did it. But now we're, 8 years down the track and I've got this amazing business. And yeah, so it's taken somebody that a lot of people know in this real estate industry. It was someone who I really look up to, and I told him my story last year and he said, no, that was really ballsy for you to go do that. Don't be, afraid to share your story. That is absolutely amazing. So I've just put it all out here for everybody for the first time to really hear the full story. Not very traditional at all.
Sandy, you are one of only two people I know who have had that style of story coming from being a property investor and then offering property management services. And I think that's something that offers a unique perspective rather than my story where I became a property manager and then started a rent roll. So I came from being, yes, I was a property investor as well, but my extensive experience was being a property manager more so than being a property investor. So I would imagine that your perspective coming into a business was quite different to the traditional way most people end up growing a rent roll.
Yeah, definitely. It was. And that's something that I have often used as my point of difference is, I basically sit along my landlord clients. I know exactly what it's like being in their shoes. And not only am I there working for them, I'm working with them. I'm their advocate. I know exactly what it's like. So, yeah.
Yeah. So when you first started your business, were you property management only?
Yes, absolutely. Because that's where my skill set was. That's where my knowledge was. As much as I love investing in real estate, I didn't have that sales background. My husband's a salesman of the family. He's in fruit and veg, so he'll sell us to the Eskimos. Maybe one day he'll retire from fruit and veg and actually come work in real estate with me. But anyway, so yeah, basically property management only. And then over the years, it really has organically grown into what it is. To everything in my business has organically grown to what it is today.
So tell us about what it is today.
Okay, so today it looks like still very, very much property management focused. So one of the differences with my agency is I am a property management principal. It is very, very, very common to have a selling principal running an agency. So we've got the property management department. So there's myself as a BDM, still helping my my property manager in her role as well. We've got a VA. But we now have an amazing sales team with us as well. And I have been doing the buyer's agent work of the business as well too. So we have really, as I say, organically grown into where we are. And it's really exciting.
So can I ask a question that's a little off script? Do you personally do the buyer's agency side of the business, or does someone else in your team do that?
No, I do that. So at the moment, actually, to be very honest, I have taken a slight step back from that. I am at capacity with the growth that has happened and exactly where I am. So I'm very, very big on service and making sure that I can absolutely fulfill everything I set out to do, which is one of the reasons of how I came to now have a sales team, because I couldn't do everything myself. I can't be, partial property manager, can't be the BDM, can't be the agency owner and do sales as well. It just, so it was really important for me not to lose focus and not to really let down everybody that I'm there working for.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about your transition into offering sales in your business, because my background is I had a property management only agency and I never offered sales. And I used to wear that as a badge of honor, that we're property management only. We only do property management. And I think my perspective on that has changed over the years, because I'm realizing that landlords like to deal with who they're dealing with, whoever's looking after their property to manage it. How did you make that decision to start offering sales services?
Okay. So that only came about in 2020. So basically early 2020, beginning of COVID and all that sort of thing that's happened. So we all know what happened to the sales market, what happened to the real estate market in general. I had a lot more owners coming to me saying, hey, I want to list my property, I want to sell. And we sort of just gradually had those conversations. So because we had the rapport with the tenants, we had that intimate knowledge of the properties. They were like, okay, will you sell the property? And so I did that. I did quite a few sales. So that was, 2020. So we did 6 years of property management only. So just to sort of take us a quick step back, I also wore it about a badge of honor for all those years being property management only. I saw that as a point of difference. My clients, however, didn't actually care. They really, really didn't. And as much as I was like pushing that, because, I am property management only, we're boutique, we're independent. They just wanted the service. They wanted to know that someone was looking after their property. And I have had no negative feedback. There's been no fallback at all from transitioning from that property management through to that sales. So yeah, it's something that, as I said, happened organically. I didn't promote it, and then it was just an in-house thing to my landlord clients, which then started, people heard about it more, you get your reviews, and then there's more recommendations, go see Sandy, and I'm like, yeah, still can't keep wearing all these hats. So yeah, that's how it all came about.
So does that mean that now you offer sales as a service to people who are not your existing landlord clients as well?
Yeah, that's right. So I ended up doing a couple of sales that weren't just my landlord clients, but even with those ones that were coming on, like, it's not great selling the rent roll. Yes, at least it was really nice for me to be getting that little bit of cash injection with the commission, but I didn't want to let everybody down in, as I said, doing too much. So that's when I decided to, another thing I did actually, I'm just going to inject it here.
Yes.
Also during 2020 and all of COVID, I went from being a at-home property management only business and starting their sales to I actually opened up the doors of my agency in December 2020 in town with the first office space. So during COVID, I did all these amazing things that everyone's like, running back, let's work from home. And I was like, no, we actually need to step out. It was easier for the property manager to have the difference between the two, either working from home or at the office. And obviously then that was a better base for the sales as well too, because sales, I think it still does really help to have that, basically that brand awareness in a main street, which is what we now are. So yeah, I now have a sales team as well.
So tell me about how you got to that decision to hire people in your sales team, because that's a big decision for a property management principal to make.
Yeah. It actually wasn't that hard to make the decision, to be quite honest, because I was like, I know what service I want to provide. And I know that if I'm going to do this properly, sales is going to be something that I'm going to offer in my agency. Then I need to step my game up. I can't just do what I'm doing now. So we need someone that's going to be in that space working. What was actually harder was finding the right person or the right people, as it turned out, to fit with my business and because I got so many job applications through Seek, LinkedIn, Facebook, so many of them, and they were all same. But, we are boutique, we are independent, we are also rural residential. So we're an hour from Brisbane, hour from the Gold Coast. We're in the Beaudesert Scenic Rimshire area. It's a really beautiful area, but it's quite a cross section. And I also wanted to make sure that at the end of the day, whoever's working for me, with me, it's still my agency. They can make or break. So it had to be the right person. Or people, as it turned out to be. So basically, so I now have Monique and Erin who work with me. They're both the two sales agents. So we have an amazing team of women. That's a whole nother subject I can get into. I think real estate is a fantastic industry for women and working mums, but let's not get too sidetracked right now. But yeah, they both come with really great knowledge of property and investment and property management. So they were referred to me and I went to them, or basically it was one of them, and Monique had a very, very strong background in property management. She was a property manager for quite a number of years. And then she made the transition into sales, and then she met Erin and they became a great sales team. So they both own property. They're both on acreage. They both have investments. They understand that delicate balance between landlords and tenants. And it's not just like throwing anybody into the sales department as well too. It took me about 6 months to get them over. It took a little bit of converting till the time was right for them and, where everything was. So, but as they say, good things come to those who wait. And yeah, it was definitely well worth the wait.
And so now that you have a property management team and a sales team, how do you find it being, the leader and the manager managing sales personalities that are typically different to property manager personalities? What's it like running that team?
It goes back again to waiting for the right people to join the team. So I hired on personality, the culture, just the right fit, because I do believe that you can teach the skills, and I'm a firm advocate for constant professional development and personal development. So for me, it was really about getting those right people, as I mentioned. So we don't have all those different personalities inside the office that were not gelling. We actually work really, really well together. It's a very collaborative environment. I find at the recent conference I went to, we actually also did the DISC profile, and I ended up working out I was an S and an I. can't remember what the I stands for now, but the S was for supportive. And I really do think I'm out to support everybody I absolutely can. So whether I'm looking after my landlord clients or my tenant customers, or if it's my property management department and my sales team, I'm all about supporting them to be the best that they can be and to be uplifting. So it's, I think we're going to have a really fun process growing over the next 12 months together too. But I'm really, really lucky we don't have huge egos or huge personalities. It's very collaborative, a really nice synergy. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm so pleased to hear that, because with the wrong people in place, that would not be the dynamic in your team.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
So now that you are offering property management and sales as well as buyers advocacy, how do you position yourself in the marketplace now that you're kind of a full service agency?
Yeah.
Like what makes clients choose to work with you now?
One of the main reasons I do believe is because we are, we're very sort of open, transparent, and supportive. And we're also, we don't have those huge egos that come in that people feel like, oh, can I work with them? Can I not? But obviously, we can be very firm in the situations when we need to be, especially in property management. You know that there is times you need to be very, very firm. But basically, our specialty with the rural residential being the acreage is that's not the same as looking after a residential cookie cutter 4-bed 2-bath. So whether it's sales or whether it's property management, we have that real specialty that we basically, that's our point of difference. We all live on acreage. We have, Erin has horses, so she, works really well with the horse enthusiasts. And Monique, she has like a mini farm at home. And Danny and I, all live on acreage ourselves as well too. So, and when it comes to that with the property management side of things, it's like we know the difference between if you're not on town water and you're not on, town sewerage. You've got septics and you've got pumps and you've got water tanks, and there's just a whole minefield that comes with that management. So, and then you've got livestock agreements, and we manage properties up to we got 80 and 100 acres. So we go up to 100-acre properties under our management. And then we've still got your two, little 2-bedroom units in town as well too. But yeah, it's a real cross section. We find that we really specialize in that niche.
Wow. And like, I can see how easy it would be for a landlord client to choose you when you have such experience with acreage in that case, because you're right, not being on town water or having a septic system and needing a pump to supply your water pressure and all of those things, that's outside of what we're used to working with. So that makes it a really easy choice for landlords then.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely find that that's one of the biggest feedbacks that we do get. So, yeah.
So I think certainly one of the biggest reasons I wanted to talk to you on the podcast today was because of that transition that you've made from being property management only to offering sales as well. I know that a lot of people who listen to this podcast are probably walking that line at the moment, where they've started their rent roll, perhaps they've started from home, they're only offering property management services, but they're starting to get landlords ask, will you sell my property for me? And if they're anything like me, they're thinking, no, I need to stay exclusively property management. What would your advice be to people who are offering PM only, but considering offering sales?
Sure. So I think especially in this day and age, there is a lot of smaller rent rolls. There's a lot of boutique independents who are starting the whole work from home and carrying on from there. Absolutely. So I think one of the things they would need to consider first as well too is what sort of business do they want to have long term? What does our agency look like? And look, I've never had a full business plan. Half of the time I've winged it as well to get to where I am. So, it's not always absolutely perfect, but it's like, do they want to have a sort of a lifestyle business or a lifestyle job where they're working around just their family and their kids, and they're just happy to maybe have, 30, 50, 70 properties and just have a couple of sales here and there. So it's like, what's their personal capacity? And do they want to just look at just servicing their landlords on their rent roll? Or will they be stepping outside and offering that as a full service? And then if they do, I suppose one thing to think about, if we are definitely, I know a lot of people who listen to this podcast are property management only and generally are working from home, where I started, because I know that's definitely when I first met you, Ellen, all those years ago. But basically, where do they want to be? Where's their passion as well too? Do they want to have that same, can they have that same level of service in sales that they offer to their landlords with the property management? And if not, like, well, do they want to just do the couple of sales to dip their toes in the water, build the brand awareness perhaps, to then look at bringing on a sales team or a salesperson like I did? So there's obviously quite a few things to think about. But yeah, I definitely think the whole perception of being property management only, at the end of the day, over the last 8 years, I definitely have not found that to be a hindrance with any of my landlords whatsoever. So if that's what's holding you back, absolutely go and do it if you want to do it, but only do it if you want to. So many people over the years have said, you need to get into sales. That's where the money's at. But, that's not why I did it. It ended up being right for my clients. And that's when I did it, when I was comfortable to do it and when it was right for my clients and my business.
And that's such good advice, Sandy. I think I love the fact that you've encouraged us to look at, well, what's the plan for the business? But also I love the suggestion of dipping your toe in and selling a couple of properties for your existing landlords and seeing, do I like this? And if I think that there's potential, then you're building a little bit of brand awareness. And if you want to then hire a salesperson or a sales team, you've got some momentum to do that from.
Definitely. And I think it really comes down to a personality basis potentially as well too, like, or what you absolutely love about the industry or property management or real estate in general. Because for me, as much as sales is great, and like we have a great sales team, my heart is in property management. And the thing I absolutely love the most is those long-term relationships that I've built. I can pick up the call and pick up the phone and have a chat with my landlords. And, a lot of them are into caravanning and camping and have their other investment properties. And we have this whole big half an hour discussion before we even get down to business. And, I absolutely love those relationships. Whereas for me personally, sales is so transactional. I really, really love building those relationships. That's what really gets me. So,
and that's been a big part of why I've loved property management too. I like that we know our landlord clients and also our tenant customers so well for such a long period of time. It's, as you said, it feels less transactional than sales. I'm sure that salespeople have a different opinion of that.
Absolutely.
But we're property managers at heart. So
exactly. And look, there's plenty of sales agents who are going to listen to this, and I love you all too, and my sales team will too. But just personally, that's where my passion, that's where my heart is at. And so it's making sure that I'm doing right for myself as well too, and I'm staying true to who I am. And if I know that that's where I want to be and my focus is going to be, then I need to trust them and work with them and support them to build the sales side. So yeah, but I'm more than happy to chat to anyone who has any questions or, wants to go, will I dip my toe in the water? How did this work? Yeah. So.
Well, that was how I was going to wrap this podcast up, because I know that some of our listeners are going to want to get in touch with you or follow you on social media or see what you're up to. Obviously, we'll link to whatever social platforms people can follow you on, but what's the best way for people to follow you and see what you're up to?
Well, if they want to have a chat to me, they're welcome to give my mobile number a call at any time, which is 0438 762 163. Happy for anyone to give me a call. My phone's always on for a chat. But they can follow me on LinkedIn. So just Sandy Lower on LinkedIn. Instagram is Sandy_Q State Properties. So yeah, I'm around in a few different forums as well too, of course. So I'm happy to give advice, and not that I know it all, and support wherever I can to everybody. So yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Sandy. I will link to your Instagram and your LinkedIn, and I'll throw your mobile number in there if you're happy to.
I'm happy for that.
You might tell me to remove it later, but I'll throw all of that into the show notes as well, so that people can come and check you out and touch base with you if they'd like to as well. Thank you so much for being willing to share that journey, the journey that I was never brave enough to go on, to move from offering property management only through to offering, being a full service agency for your clients. And I think that's probably one of my bigger regrets from my experience growing a rent roll. And I think it's an opportunity that a lot of people are starting to realize is sitting there in their business. So thanks for being willing to share the journey with us.
It's been my pleasure. And I'm so glad that I finally basically have my startup story out there, because for so many years I've held that so close to my chest. So that's to say, everyone reach out. I don't know it all. I winged a lot of it. I actually read Emma Isaac's book, Winging It, the lady who set up Business Chicks. And I'm like, this is amazing. So it does actually happen that people don't always have the whole plan sorted. So yeah, if there's anything I can do to help anybody else, I'm always happy to share that experience.
Oh, thank you so much, Sandy. It's been an absolute delight having you here on the podcast. And thank you so much for being able to share your startup story with us.
Thank you, Ellen. I really appreciate the opportunity today.
So I hope you enjoyed that episode with Sandy from Q State Properties. And remember, she has very generously offered for you to reach out to her and contact her if you've got any questions at all about how she's running her business. And just remember, if you're a property management only agency and you're thinking about dipping your toes into sales, well, Sandy's a fantastic example of exactly how you can do it, how you can dip your toes in, see if you like it, and then see if you want to offer it full service there in your agency. So hopefully that's given you something to think about. I can't wait to see you in the next episode.